Welcome to The Blast Zone, the podcast where we dig up the bombs that shook Hollywood and try to find out why they went up in flames. This week, we're all leaves on the wind because we'll probably be mulched by winter. This is Serenity. Welcome to The Blast Zone.
Welcome to The Blast Zone.
We are not a podcast about bad movies. We are a podcast about movies that did badly.
That's right.
I'm Jon Drake, in-house film critic of my Letterboxd account.
And I'm Ian Dukes. I'm a person with thoughts and feelings, and some of them are about movies.
Movies like Serenity, which we'll be talking about today. Before we get into that, Ian, how are you doing this week?
Well, let me wrap up a little 3-act story that's played out over our last few episodes. In Act 1, our plucky hero ventured forth to take some scary tests to check on his health. In Act 2, he tries the easy way to get the test results, but forces larger than him, in this case, a power outage, prevent him from getting what he wants. Finally, in Act 3, the hero must do something difficult to test his character, which is book another follow-up appointment with the cardiologist. But he rises to the challenge. In the final scene, it's a happy ending, and he learns what he hoped for all along. Zero blockage in the arteries, no heart disease found, and he lived crappily ever after.
Let's go. Fantastic news.
Thank you.
Whoever this person may be, send along our sincere congratulations to them.
I will.
He's talking about himself, folks.
Yeah, I was writing that as I was working on the synopsis, and my brain was locked into 3-act structure, and I had to bring it to a conclusion.
You're always locked in. That's fantastic news. I was meaning to follow up with you on that because I remembered the day you were supposed to get your results. The California power grid was not cooperative.
Yeah, mysterious things were afoot.
They were trying to keep you in the dark, literally and figuratively.
It ended up helping the story. It gave it a nice arc.
Exactly. It was the denouement that we needed.
Thankfully, it was not a tragedy, at least not yet. There's probably a lot of other things wrong with me, but not that specific subset of things. So I feel good about that.
I can think of a few if you want, if that would help.
Oh, okay. Let's write them down. Send them to blastzonepod@gmail.com.
No, great news. And I also have good news, but of a different sort. I just got back from a fabulous trip to New York City.
Fun.
With my son and my mom. We just jammed all of New York that we could into 2 days. For the listeners that are very new, because I talk about it often, I am originally from Queens, but moved away a few years ago. My son's been to New York because my sister still lives there, so we go to visit her occasionally, go to the beach, whatever. But this was his first time in Manhattan.
Neat.
So we did the NBC studio tour, and he volunteered to be a host. They do like a fake Today Show type thing, and he volunteered to be the host. So he's reading right off the teleprompter, and
that's so cool.
Did really well. And we got to see the SNL studio, which was really cool. I was very into that. He had no idea what any of that meant, but I was like, you're still a little young for that.
Yeah, that's neat.
He's 8, and 8 is the youngest you can be to actually go on the tour. They don't want 5-year-olds. And then we went to a Mets game. That's my team, the amazing Mets. It's all about the Mets, baby. My sister got us great seats, and she met us at the game, and it was a absolute bloodbath. The Mets won 13-5.
Oh, man.
My favorite current day Met, Pete Alonso, set the all-time Mets home run record.
Wow.
And he hit another one on top of it just for good measure.
Dang.
And every time the Mets hit a home run at home, they have this big apple that comes out of like a spot in the outfield, and then fireworks go off. But they actually had to put it up on the big screen that they ran out of fireworks because there's too many home runs. Like I sat through so many like 2-0 games as a kid. I was like, don't get used to this. This is not how it usually goes.
No, but that's a great introduction to baseball to get you excited to see all that much scoring.
Exactly. And then the next day we went to the Museum of Natural History, one of my favorite museums in the whole world. Got to go through all the dinosaur bones and the dioramas. He was a little freaked out by the gigantic blue whale.
I understand.
In one of the rooms. And I remembered being freaked out by it when I was 8 years old as well. So I get it.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And then my mom took him to a Broadway play last night, and then we came home today.
Wow, that's a whirlwind tour. That is so cool.
It was an all-timer. Not to be a downer, but I'm not sure when anything good is ever going to happen again. So had to get some good stuff crammed in there before the end times.
Yeah, you made it happen. Good for you. That's awesome.
Thanks.
What an experience for you both, for all three of you, actually.
Yeah, really wonderful stuff. But while I was gallivanting around the Big Apple, did you happen to watch anything you wanted to talk to the listeners about?
I sure did. Your intrepid reporter is back again on the Wes Anderson beat. I watched The Phoenician Scheme, which you and I got the pleasure of starting to watch when we were hanging out together, but we didn't get all the way through it, so I went back and finished it off. My assessment is it was wackier than his other movies. Not to say that the other ones aren't silly, but this one actually felt like it was over the edge a few times, started to lose me. Characters were not as grounded and emotionally compelling, but by the end, it won me back over. I fully enjoyed it. It's not my favorite Wes Anderson, but I had some fun. I think the the biggest joy for me out of watching the Phoenician Scheme was Mia Threppleton, who plays Liesel, the co-lead of the film and the daughter of Benicio del Toro's character, and finding out that in real life, Mia is the daughter of one of our favorites, the great Kate Winslet. So she may be a Nepo baby, but she's got some real talent. It's really cool to see a movie where a fresh face comes on screen in a starring role and actually feels like they've got star power. She's pretty magnetic on the screen, and I hope to see her go on to more big things.
Yeah, in the 30 minutes we watched together, I do remember being intrigued by her for sure. I did not know that she was little Kate Winslet at the time, but pretty exciting stuff. And I'm not anti-Nepo babies as a rule.
Sure.
I think if you're talented and you also acknowledge the advantages you've been given and the leg up you have, there's nothing wrong with that. I think Margaret Qualley is a great example of somebody who is maybe already surpassing her parents in star power.
Yeah.
Everybody in Hollywood is related to somebody at this point. But even Lewis Pullman, we thought he was really good in Thunderbolts. There's a lot of Nepo babies doing their thing.
For sure.
Wyatt Russell, I'm coming around to him. I wasn't the biggest fan at first, but I'm liking him the more I see him. You know what? Live and let live. Who cares at this point? There's bigger problems in the world than Nepo babies.
That's true.
I watched a movie that, as far as I know, has no Nepo babies in it, but it has babies in it. And by babies in it, I mean third graders.
Okay.
I got to the theater, packed house on a Sunday evening, and saw Weapons on opening weekend.
Oh boy. I'm scared to even hear about it.
Buddy boy, Weapons is something to see. Let me tell you. I don't know why I'm speaking like an old time carnival barker, but I'm very scared to spoil anything about it.
Yeah.
I know you've been trying to avoid Twitter a lot because people are very brazenly spoiling things on there now.
It's that kind of movie, I knew in advance, because it's got one of those wild, intriguing premises and a lot of hype. So as soon as people see it, they'll be like, oh, I have thoughts about it or I have jokes about it.
And as a father to a son going into third grade, it was particularly traumatic at times for me.
Oh my gosh.
At the same time, it is Zach Kreger, who is a longtime sketch comedian and comedy writer. He was part of the Whitest Kids You Know, which was a very big YouTube group back in the day.
I forgot that. Okay.
So he injects a lot of humor into it, and there's a lot of great, funny performances. Our boy Alden Ehrenreich, Han Solo himself, is in there.
Oh, okay.
Playing a cop whose life is spiraling out of control a little bit. And Benedict Wong was great, but Austin Abrams as a unhoused meth addict named James, who gets wrapped up into the whole saga of the movie and gets in over his head a little bit, was a really fun addition. And Josh Brolin was really good in it. I made a tweet a little while back about horror movies are either Babadook movies or not Babadook movies. And a Babadook movie is where the monster or the obstacle is a very blatant metaphor for some kind of trauma. And a non-Babadook movie is where the villain is just a mean truck.
Right.
Or an evil wall sconce or something. It's just silliness. And Weapons is kind of neither of those. It's certainly got a lot to say, but it wears its themes a little closer to its chest. I've seen a lot of people say it's like a school shooting movie in disguise. I've seen some other people say it's about how older generations leech off younger generations, leveraging our kids' future for our present gain. There's a lot of different ways to read it. Kreger has even basically confirmed with all his horror movies, he's basically working through the trauma of his best friend and collaborator, Trevor Moore, who was another founding member of the Whitest Kids You Know, who died tragically a few years ago.
Okay.
Fell out of a balcony accidentally and died.
My gosh.
So it is about loss, how we deal with the aftermath of loss and how it tends to make people ugly and turn against each other. But again, super funny at times too. A lot of cool kills, some gore, some really upsetting moments and some really triumphant feeling moments. It's, as Sean Fennessy of The Big Picture said, it's why we go to the movies, a movie like Weapons. So you got to get out there and check it out. And I know you're a famed scaredy cat.
Yeah.
But I think you'll be okay.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not like a big jump scare movie. There's a handful, but they're not crazy. Nothing that's going to keep you up at night.
I didn't see Barbarian until it came to streaming. That was a movie that was designed to terrify you with really gut level fears of shit jumping out of dark holes.
When you first see Bill Skarsgård reappear in the tunnels and he's all disheveled and terrified. Yeah, that would have been a little intense for me, a seasoned horror movie watcher in the theater. I think Barbarian was definitely a notch or two scarier than Weapons, but I think I like Weapons a little more.
Okay, that's a good review. I'm very excited to see that whenever I work up the nerve.
Yeah, if you make it out to the theater, great. If not, it'll be streaming in a couple months and you can catch it from the safety of your home.
In the meantime, fingers in ears and eyes closed when I scroll Twitter.
That's right. And we're talking about Serenity this week. This has been a requested episode for a little while. We were hesitant to revisit Joss Whedon because we covered Justice League as one of our first episodes, which was kind of a Joss Whedon movie. Mm-hmm. And then we covered Cabin in the Woods not too long after that. And there's just a lot of baggage that comes along with discussing Joss Whedon. But what did you know about Firefly and along those same lines, this movie specifically?
I could remember having watched some of the show Firefly when it was on TV and being kind of into it. It fit that mold of stuff I was talking about. I very much put Nathan Fillion in the same mold as Bruce Campbell. They both play sort of big, square-jawed, funny action hero type guys on TV. And so this fit into that mold of this must be the kind of show I like. It's genre and it's action and it's it's funny. And then I was like, so did I watch the movie when it came out? I couldn't remember it. Probably I did end up renting Serenity on DVD because it did come out back in the Netflix red envelope era. And it was definitely the kind of thing that I would pick up. I guess it didn't leave a big impression because watching it this week, it felt brand new to me. Like the story didn't come back to me at all. And for better or worse, I decided to go back and rewatch the TV show pilot before I put on the movie this week, which is an interesting decision. We'll have to reflect on how the movie was perceived by viewers because I traded a little bit of that wider audience perspective coming in cold in favor of refreshing myself on a TV show so I could analyze how the movie works as an adaptation. So we'll have to talk about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I remember being a fan of Firefly when it was out as a non-Star Trek fan. Like could never really get into the Star Trek shows. I do enjoy some of the movies. Back then, especially, your options for a television series that was sci-fi and wasn't explicitly for children was pretty limited. It was like this and Lost were the only two games in town in the early aughts. So I watched Firefly. I remember being confused and upset at how dirty they did it. Fox aired episodes out of order. They would take like long gaps in between showing episodes. There very little promotion. They did not really seem to care if it succeeded. And then Serenity came out. I did not manage to catch it in the theater, but fun little anecdote. Me and my friend Craig, he was dating his now wife of many years, Lori, and she was also a big Firefly fan. Firefly fan. She was just basically a Joss Whedon fan, loved Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Angel, all those kind of shows. We rented Serenity and watched it at her house and had a grand old time. And I was very taken with it. It was a movie I watched many times over the next few years. I found it somewhat like soothing, which is a weird thing to say because we were just talking. If you just write out the plot of this movie in chronological order, it's pretty fucked up.
A lot of bad shit happens to large quantities of people.
Pretty tragic movie in general, but the tone doesn't always seem to know that. So that's something we're going to have to grapple with a little later too.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like Whedon, despite having basically rehearsed this movie for a full season of TV, and you would think ironed out the kinks, this movie has a lot of rough edges. It has a really weird tone that flops back and forth where you feel like it's not just the thing in The Avengers or even in Cabin in the Woods where it's like action that's big and scary with serious consequences, yet funny moments and lighthearted quips from characters that sort of lighten it up. This movie feels like it's making jokes where you don't expect the characters to be funny. So to be the kind of person who's waiting to get a laugh in the moments where the laughs are supposed to happen, you feel like you have to be some kind of asshole or some kind of nihilist to like be looking for laughs there or to even catch them. There's something slightly off-putting about the way the tone and the rhythm of it works.
Well, we didn't really know it at the time, but it turns out there's something slightly off-putting about Joss Whedon himself. So maybe that speaks to his character.
It could very well be the imprint of the man's personality coming out.
Should we talk about how the movie got made?
Absolutely. Let's hear how this thing happened.
All right. Serenity is one of those movies that should have been a slam dunk. A cult TV series with a rabid fan base, a creator with a knack for snappy dialogue, and a studio willing to give the story a second life on the big screen. Instead, it became a box office cautionary tale about how fan passion does not always translate to mainstream success. The film was Joss Whedon's feature directorial debut, based on his short-lived but much-loved TV show Firefly.
You would not believe your eyes. 10 million fans of Firefly.
The series was famously mishandled by Fox, aired out of order, and canceled after just 11 episodes. Whedon fought to keep the story alive, and when DVD sales exploded, Universal took a chance on giving the crew of the Serenity one last ride. Whedon reunited the full cast, wrote a story meant to work for both fans and newcomers, and shot the movie on a tight budget by Hollywood standards. He refused to film overseas to save money, keeping the production local and lean.
Which explains why all the new planets look like Burbank.
Universal went all in on a grassroots marketing campaign, including secret preview screenings that sold out in minutes, and an online video series explaining River Tam's backstory. Fans were hyped, critics were on board. It seemed like the underground success story in the making. But then opening week happened. Serenity debuted in second place with $10 million, behind Flight Plan in its second week. Word of mouth was good, but the drop-off was steep, and by week 3 it was already disappearing from theaters. It ended with $40.4 million worldwide on a $30 million budget, which in studio math meant a loss of about $20 million. Plans for sequels were scrapped almost immediately. In hindsight, it wasn't the movie's fault. Serenity delivered exactly what fans wanted: witty banter, space western charm, and a satisfying continuation of the TV storyline. But for general audiences who hadn't seen Firefly, it was a harder sell. You can only market based on the canceled TV show you didn't watch so so many different ways.
Hey, we made a movie of that thing you didn't care about.
Today, Serenity is still loved by its core audience and considered one of the better examples of a TV to film continuation. But it's also a reminder that sometimes the box office isn't built to reward niche devotion. For Whedon, it was the end of one chapter and the start of a film career that would see massive highs and equally public lows. For Firefly fans, it remains a bittersweet victory, a final goodbye that arrived too soon and left too quickly.
I would agree that it's actually pretty good and satisfying for Firefly fans, which jives with your experience of watching it the first time that you were just talking about. If you have some appreciation for these characters, or even just some warmth for them, I didn't remember the characters really, but I'm like, oh, I think I dig Nathan Fillion.
Yeah.
Like, you can just right away enjoy it. It's a very TV show kind of movie. I keep coming back to that thought, and I don't know if that's just a cheap reductionism on my part of like, oh, well, I saw the TV show, so the movie makes me think it's a TV show. But I feel like it has a lot of characteristics of a TV show that might actually be part of its downfall as a movie.
Yeah, and we'll have to talk about them as we go through the plot because I agree. But I often describe actors as charming. And what I really mean by that is you want to spend time with them. When they're on screen, you find yourself liking them. And this cast is full of some of the most charming actors you could think of. You got Nathan Fillion, who I've always been very taken with. I was like hardcore lobbying for him to be Nathan Drake in the Uncharted movies.
Oh, sure.
Somehow he ended up with Tom Holland. But it came far too late for Nathan Fillion to take that role anyway. But if they had done it right after the games came out, it would have been a slam dunk, I think. Staite is someone I find very watchable, and also she's my oomphy, so got to give her a shout out for that.
Hey there.
Alan Tudyk, one of the most genuinely beloved actors of our generation, right?
Yeah.
Everybody seems to be a fan of his, and everybody seems to be a fan of his for a different project that he was involved with. He's got a whole roster of characters that people love and adore.
Both on screen and as a voice actor. Everybody loves it.
Yeah, very prolific voice actor. And then there's Adam Baldwin's there too. So it's a mixed bag, but I understand your point. And to take it a step further, I think there's a little bit of a TV acting caliber thing going on at times as well.
Yes, I certainly agree with that. That's a big part of me feeling like it's a TV show. Like, oh, these people are given TV performances. And it makes you ask questions like, is it because they're TV actors? You know, that's an old way to insult an actor, to say that like they're only good enough for TV. But I think it's a combination of maybe acting talent, but largely like the style of writing, the type of lines they give them, the way they're shot, the way that's edited, all that stuff goes together to give you the impression of television quality drama versus movies.
Yeah, and this is still the very early days of prestige TV. Like we had The Sopranos, we had The Wire, we didn't have Mad Men, we didn't have Breaking Bad yet. You know, like a lot of those shows that would be considered film quality TV shows weren't really around yet. So I think there was still a bit of a remove between film actors and TV actors. And you'll see that when we wrap up the episode and we start talking about the trajectories of some of these people's careers. A lot of them stayed in TV. And that's a great way to make a living in Hollywood. There is nothing wrong with being a TV actor, but it lends itself to a different type of performance that maybe feels out of place on the big screen.
This is definitely a movie where if you're interested in exploring what those nuances are, trying to figure them out, this movie gives you a lot to work with, especially if you've seen both the show and the movie.
Should we start talking about the plot a little bit and we can get into some of our favorite and least favorite bits?
Yeah, we're going to expand on those very topics. So here we go. It is the 26th century. Humanity has abandoned Earth and settled a new solar system where they terraformed dozens of planets and moons. After a civil war between some of the outer colonies and the alliance of central planets, the victorious alliance rules over an uneasy peace. Planets in the outer colonies are plagued by lawlessness that calls to mind the Wild West, not to mention the fact they face raids by the barbaric Reavers, mutated humans who are known to inflict unspeakable horrors on the people that they randomly attack. In this setting, we meet an ornery smuggler captain named Malcolm Mal Reynolds, played by Nathan Fillion. Mal is fiercely protective of his ship Serenity and her small, tight-knit crew. But a pair of newcomers are also traveling on board Serenity, Dr. Simon Tam and his 17-year-old sister River. Simon recently rescued River from an Alliance laboratory where the government was holding her to study her psychic talents for their own benefit. Now she's being pursued by a ruthless government agent known as the Operative, played by Chiwetel Ejiofor, who will stop at nothing to kill River. After Mal and his crew pull a heist, they stop at a seedy space saloon to fence their loot. As young River wanders the bar, she becomes transfixed by a TV commercial, mutters the word Miranda, and proceeds to instigate a deadly barroom brawl. In her trance-like state, she unleashes lethal martial arts skills that no one knew she even possessed. The instant before River kills Mal, her brother Simon speaks a safe word, and the girl lapses into sleep. Back aboard Serenity, the crew reaches out to a galactic super hacker known as Mr. Universe, who analyzes the TV commercial and finds that it was specifically designed to trigger River. It's clear that powerful forces are arrayed against our heroes.
I think we both agreed that the opening to this movie is very strong. It opens essentially with with, what's his name? Sean Maher as Simon Tam, basically pretending to be like an alliance Mengele, I guess you would call him.
Some kind of bigwig doctor.
Yeah, without any kind of moral compass. Then turns out he's actually River's brother and there to rescue her. But I found Sean Maher to be, unfortunately, the weakest actor in the cast, and also much more believable as that kind of immoral doctor than as the warm, protective brother figure.
That's an interesting observation. I did put him in the TV actor category if we're crudely lumping the actors in this film into one or the other. I guess I was feeling a little bit stronger about him because I had an even worse impression of him from the Firefly pilot.
Yeah.
I don't like this guy. I don't like his face for some reason. I don't like his vibes. He's conventionally handsome for the most part. He gives me Matt Bomer as the assassin John Boy in The Nice Guys vibes.
Right, like a person almost playing a person.
Yeah, a guy who's also very handsome, but also just creepy as shit somehow.
I mean, Matt Bomer is one of the most handsome dudes in the history of the world, but he's clearly trying to unnerve you as John Boy, whereas
Yeah.
Sean Maher is trying to be a kind of comforting older brother figure, and it's just not landing.
He's the love interest for the very cute and innocent Kaylee, the ship's mechanic, and he's the loving older brother to the heroine, River. So, like, he's not supposed to creep you the fuck out, but somehow he does, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's too bad. Nothing against Sean Maher. It's just something about his performance. This movie ain't working for me. But then it probably didn't help that his introduction is immediately followed by our boy, Chiwetel Ejiofor,
Yes.
giving an absolute tour de force performance in this movie. He is stealing the show every time he's on screen.
That's a movie actor. That guy's at the top of the heap.
That's an actor with a capital A. I mean,
Yeah.
he's a fucking star of 12 Years a Slave. That's a different kind of actor.
He really classes the movie up, and he makes such a strong impression in that first opening sequence that I was like, holy shit. After just watching the TV pilot, I'm like, wow, the movie really transformed. Like, it was a 2000s TV show that felt like a mid-90s TV show, and I'm like, oh, now it's a thoroughly modern movie. And
Right.
it is for the first sequence. We'll talk about what happens after that.
Thoroughly modern, even though my man carries around a ninja sword with him.
That's true. Oh man, we'll get into the cultural references in this movie. There's a lot of them thrown haphazardly around, but Chiwetel Ejiofor just classes the fuck out of this movie. He's so dynamic on screen. He's really one of the best movie villains that I can remember in a while.
And a complicated villain by the end, too. Something we'll have to grapple with when we get to the later portions of the story.
Exactly. He's not one note.
He's not really what you expect, but he also gives us right off the bat, cool kill.
That's right.
He has this move where he hits people with the spear tip of his fingers as opposed to fists. I tried to research like what martial art is he doing, and it's apparently a mishmash of mostly Chinese martial arts. But yeah, he likes to hit people in this very specific spot, which kind of paralyzes them where they're standing. And then he just sets his sword down on the floor facing up so that you impale yourself on it. Because he makes a comment to the scientist that kind of fucked up the whole situation that in ancient times, warriors would kill themselves if they failed as thoroughly as you have. So he makes the guy kill himself in a very roundabout way.
He sets it up that ancient Romans would fall on their sword. And then you're like, oh my God, this guy's falling on his sword.
Cool kills. I did like the moment where the scientist is like, well, I didn't bring a sword, unfortunately. And then he just pulls one out and he's like, I got one right here.
I did, which was like an example of a line that could have been cheesy if the actor was not so good at delivering it. Like, it seems cartoonishly evil villain and over the top, but it feels really real in the moment. It's just a really good scene.
Yeah. And then we get our title card sequence, which I believe we have some qualms about.
I have a qualm.
Qualms.
This was my first qualm with the movie. That scene ends, they cut to the main title, and right away things started going downhill when I noticed that the movie logo font is Papyrus.
Papyrus.
The notorious Papyrus. Hopefully people will remember the SNL digital short.
They did two of them. They did one for Fire and Water as well when it came out.
Yeah, surprisingly, this movie was 4 years before Avatar, and maybe that's where James Cameron and his devious little graphic designer took the inspiration. But the movie logo, because I think it already had started with the logo that was on the spaceship in the TV series,
right.
It's just Papyrus. They did more than James Cameron did with it, who made the logo in Microsoft Word. Like, this was actually done in Photoshop where you can actually squish some of the characters. He did like a faux small caps, but it's clearly, I recreated it in 2 seconds in Photoshop with stock Papyrus font.
They clearly modified this. But whatever they did, it wasn't enough!
You just typed the word, highlighted it, clicked the little drop down box. like a thoughtless child, I think is the line. One of the best SNL sketches of all time. We'll put it in the show notes.
Go back and watch that. It's so funny. I had to watch it today in prep, and I hadn't seen it probably since it first dropped. And I'm like, oh my God. We love Ryan Gosling. We think his comedy talents have been underappreciated for a while. But if you ever saw that short, you would know that he's a comedy genius.
Yeah, Ryan Gosling struck me as an actor who took himself really seriously up until I saw him host SNL for the first time, which was when the Papyrus sketch aired.
Okay.
And it immediately shot him into the territory of being one of my favorite actors. And then, of course, The Nice Guys only further cemented that.
And then the world really only came to full grips with it when he did Ken. Like, that's when I feel like he was fully out to the, like, to
this guy's
everybody
a goofball
in America, that this guy's an incredible goofball, just a genuine comedic talent on screen. Love to see him.
But he's not in this movie, so we should move on.
I was going to say, it's too bad that he's not in this movie, but let's talk about who we did get.
We got Summer Glau as River Tam, playing a young, clearly traumatized woman.
Yeah.
But good-natured, certainly not like a scary character, except for when she goes into these trances and seems to not be able to control her actions.
She's kind of back and forth, but they keep showing her good side still comes out amidst her scary side. I generally liked Summer Glau. I liked her performance. I liked the River character. It's a fun kind of character. It's a character who's like traumatized and weak and persecuted, who in the end becomes a badass. And that gives you a good feeling as a moviegoer to enjoy those kind of characters when you like them. I feel like there's a little tricky issue that they didn't quite reckon with, and it's not done badly, but River is explicitly a minor child. They call out her age as 17, and she's treated like one. For the most part, it's like her older brother is protecting her and everyone's coddling her. But then the movie requires her to become this slightly sexualized badass action hero, where I'm not accusing them of doing anything really gross or anything, but they like, when she fights, she always drops her coat, and then she's wearing something that's not like a sexy mini dress, but it's like a slip, like she's just not wearing that much, and she's doing that thing. It's an archetype of sort of the badass martial arts fighter woman, and she's on the poster doing a pose like that, so it's like, what are you trying to do? And I don't think they mishandled it where they like did something gross with her, but because they needed to go in that direction, but they had to make it soft and make sense for her as a kid, it leaves this character in this weird place that you just never feel totally comfortable with.
Yeah, and to their credit, Summer Glau was in her mid-20s when she filmed this, so it's not like they were sexualizing a child actor,
right?
But the character is not in her mid-20s, so there is some weird subtext to it. That's the Whedon of it all, baby.
Yeah.
Can't have the good without the bad.
There's a lot of either unintentional problematic subtext or just uncomfortable subtext.
I'll tell you what's not uncomfortable. Nathan Fillion. Ooga. What a hunk.
You sidle right up to that guy.
For real. I think Nathan Fillion has been underserved by Hollywood. I think he could have been a big-time movie star. There's no reason he couldn't have played a Han Solo type character in a big budget. I guess he did. A medium budget movie anyway.
Yeah, it's kind of what he's doing.
He could have been playing guys like this on the big screen for decades. I'm not sure where it veered into TV actor territory for him, but he's very charming. And I forgot that every time I thought about Malcolm Reynolds, I've thought of a big goofball, but he's really not. He's not above joking around, but he's a pretty serious guy. And he takes his role as like protector of these people on his ship and this role of protector of the ship itself very seriously.
Yeah.
And he seems to be able to turn very quickly from lighthearted to very deadly serious.
Fillion pulls off those moves, some of which are that unsettling tonal shift that I talked about, where it's like he's a real hard ass and he's threatening to jettison the Doctor into space if he doesn't do things his way. So Whedon is like, as far as the writing, leans really hard into the hard ass stuff and then throws out some funny jokes here and there. And Nathan Fillion rolls with all of it as best as you can. One of the challenges that he faces and all the actors face is that this movie is like, what if space was like the Old West? So there's a lot of lines drawn between things in this space world and the Old West in that analogy. One of them is they all talk in a weird dialect that's kind of old-timey.
Yeah.
And it's mostly, you could have just maybe dropped that because Nathan Fillion, he does as well as he can, but he has to say expressions like, it's hard to tell one from t'other.
Yeah.
Like, where did I even hear that in a Western? Where does this dialect come from?
And then Kaylee has lines like, going on a year now, I ain't had nothing twixt my nethers weren't run on batteries.
Yeah.
Was that good?
That was pretty good. I believed you were from the Old West of future space.
The Old West of future space. It should be the book about the making of the show Firefly.
It takes a real commitment. The shows that I think really pulled hard dialect off are like Deadwood.
Yeah.
But like David Milch is like Hollywood's resident expert at making actors say weird ass idiosyncratic stuff and make it actually good and hard hitting once you crack it and figure out what the fuck they're saying.
I still got to go back and watch John from Cincinnati to see if it holds up.
Oh yeah, I think I dabbled in it and I was pretty flustered. I felt like Haley Steinfeld and the cast of True Grit did pretty well with talking old timey but being earnest and having it not play as.
I feel like this is more stylized though. Like that was all rooted in like this feels like an imagined dialect from the Old West that Joss Whedon was just very fond of and decided decided to insert into his movie.
Yeah, it's very much like his own sci-fi creation. So he got to pick and choose and maybe make up his own metaphors and expressions to be like, oh, it reminds you of the Old West, but it's unique. Because conceivably it developed on its own as settlers were isolated in moon outposts and just started talking weird.
Rebel Moons, perhaps. It's not a real movie that exists. But there is something else about Malcolm Reynolds. Here's the strange thing about Malcolm. This was your shout out, so I'll let you say it.
You want me to step on the landmines here?
Yeah, they're one of the most beloved characters in American television history. I want you to besmirch his good name.
So Joss Whedon was like, I like this metaphor of space settlers as the Old West. And so he's like, oh, let me run with that. It's Old West America. And my hero, Mal, is a veteran of the Civil War. And also he fought on the losing side, the rural side of this Civil War. And he's still disgruntled and he's still fighting to keep alive his lost cause. And you start to like add this up and you go, ooh, look at him wearing those funny like riding pants and suspenders. I'm like, this here's a Confederate soldier, right?
Shades of our first episode, John Carter.
Yes, he was a literal Confederate soldier.
We got to tear down the Malcolm Reynolds monuments. So we can't have them at our city centers and our schools.
We might have to cancel him. But no, it never really goes there.
It doesn't.
You know, he's smart enough to keep a distance from it, but it shows kind of the cavalier way that like he's willing to throw these analogies in and then not really reckon with what he just put out there.
Another kind of landmine along those same lines is the role the Reavers play. These animalistic, essentially mindless raping and murdering band of marauders roaming the equivalent of the American West.
Preying on the settlers in unexpected raids. What does that make you think of?
Doesn't paint Native Americans in a great light, so that's a little tough as well.
No, but I mean, the big reveal of the movie, which we'll get to later, is that they actually are not another culture. They are very much part of the core culture, so it sort of absolves him of painting indigenous peoples with that brush, but you don't figure that out for most of the movie, so it's another edge he's walking there.
And speaking of the Reavers, we get our first glimpse of them in this big bank heist that goes down towards the end of the first act. How did you feel about this sequence? This is the first kind of large-scale action scene we get in the movie. Did it pay off for you?
It was like, oh, I could feel us slipping back to TV show quality. Here's where you start to see it in the effects. Like the first scene seems very polished, and then I feel like they spent extra time on the first few shots of the actual Serenity ship as it's entering the atmosphere. Like, oh, the special effects are pretty decent in this movie. And then they have to do a lot of them in a short time in this bank heist and a high-speed escape on a flying vehicle from the Reavers chasing them. I'm like, oh, this kind of just starts to look just like 90s TV effects again.
Yeah, I was getting like Xena Warrior Princess vibes from a lot of these shots.
Yeah.
Obviously not like the sci-fi aspect of it, but just like the way they're shot. And there's one scene where like the Reaver ship turns a corner and then peels out essentially. And I was like, that was a rough effect shot. That was pretty bad.
Yeah, some of them are pretty bad looking.
But the Reavers themselves, I think, were handled properly in order to make them like an effective boogeyman. They do seem pretty terrifying and they tend to show up just all the time. Like how often are Reavers just attacking settlements in this world? Because every time our heroes do anything, like, oh, the Reavers are here.
They're here again. Yeah, they're a scary something to deal with. And they do establish that they're not like the rightful owners of the land who are angry about actual problems. They establish that these are like mindless zombies, right? They're like infected with the rage virus, even though we don't understand why or exactly how.
What always bugged me about that is that they're operating pretty sophisticated machinery at the same time. Like they clearly have pilots and mechanics and engineers on board.
They do, but the nod to that is, oh, their spaceships are marked by the fact that their engines aren't shielded, so they're blasting themselves with lethal doses of radiation at all times, and they're spewing smoke, and they've got blood painted on it and bodies strapped to the hood, and so they're just barely operating these spaceships, but they do have a lot of them. Like, they didn't just all crash into each other and fall out of the sky.
Right, there's some coordination going on, which is hard to believe when you see how animalistic they are.
Because they're basically infected with a rage virus that makes them just try to do the most obscene things to people. And for the first half of the movie, people are just speculating why. Like, oh, they pushed too far into the outer reaches of space and they lost their minds when confronted with the vastness of the emptiness.
That's a line that Jane, played by Adam Baldwin, gives. And to that, I would like to say that means Tommy Lee Jones in Ad Astra is canonically a Reaver.
He kind of is.
That's why he went crazy and tried to blow up the world. He's more laid back than some of the other ones, but he's old too. I feel like not a lot of Reavers get that old.
No, because he didn't have anybody to attack and eat alive out on that station until Brad Pitt showed up.
Speaking of people getting eaten alive, there was a familiar face in this sequence that was maybe not quite a star yet. Did you happen to notice?
I did, and I had to look it up to make sure it was him because you could barely see his face. But the great Glenn Howerton made a cameo.
I don't think you can call it a cameo. I think it was a bit part he got cast for because he was still like a struggling actor.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I didn't mean that he was like a star who did a cameo. He has a cameo role, meaning he's in and out, but he was just a working actor trying to get jobs. So there he is, Dennis, fleeing this bank heist, and he doesn't want to be left behind with the Reavers because of the the implications.
Honestly, yeah, they do mention many times what the reavers do to their victims. And
Yes, it's awful.
pretty bad. The implications are pretty severe.
The implications are not good.
I really enjoyed this period of Always Sunny actors because Rob, how do you have any idea how to pronounce his last name?
He solved it for us, dude. It's just Rob Mack now.
Rob Mack.
We don't have to care.
He
Don't
like
have to
popped
worry.
up and Lost as like a random other for 2 episodes. And I was like, it's so random.
It's a fun part of their lore and their real world and the way it ties into the show. Like, it's very endearing quality of those guys. But speaking of guys with endearing qualities, how do you like David Krumholtz?
I'm a Krumholtz head. I like Krumholtz.
Okay.
He's I wouldn't say he's one of my guys. We're not on those terms.
Okay.
But I'm never upset to see David Krumholtz pop up and stuff.
Yeah, this Mr. Universe character is a little over the top. It's a little cartoonish, like, where did you borrow all this shit from? The Matrix or something? But he manages to make it work because he has a lot of liveliness. Like, he's talking into a screen and it feels like he's engaging with you directly. And you're like, oh, I like this guy. He brings a nice energy to the role.
Short guys from Queens. We got good energy.
There you go.
I'll tell you. Yeah, he feels more contemporary because he's like this big hacker guy. He doesn't talk in that same kind of stylized way that the crew of the Serenity does.
That's true, yeah.
So it feels like we're starting to get a glimpse into, even though he's a white guy or a Jewish guy. I don't know if Judaism exists in the Firefly universe.
I think he is canonically Jewish because he shows a clip of his wedding in the background to the sex bot and he stomps on a glass. So
all right. So they are showing that there are disparate cultures within the non-alliance groups.
Sure.
And we see that too when they go to fence their goods. They're in this nightclub type of thing, which I think those guys are canonically space Persian.
Okay, yeah. Yeah. With British accents, British Persian. And yeah, it feels more cosmopolitan in different spots, which helps with the depth of the world that this movie works in.
I like the term you use there, the depth of this world, because that brings up the main question that this movie and really all adaptations have to answer, where they're not just rebooting the story. They're trying to continue the story, but expand upon it. Does the movie Serenity do enough to make itself and its world decipherable for viewers who never saw the show? Does it do enough catching up to speed on who the players are, what they're after, what they care about, and why we should care?
I would argue that yes, it's well written in terms of it doles out the information you need, does a little bit of voiceover at the beginning, drops a lot of hints in the middle of scenes, and does a little bit of exposition dumping here and there. But it gets you up to speed. So I didn't feel like people would be lost about understanding where they are and what they were working with in this world. But after that, he really does try to split the difference. Like you're referring to, the big quandary of adapting a TV show or really any episodic story, like we've seen many times with comic books, is that starting over with a pure origin story is cheesy. It's disappointing for the existing fans because they already know the characters. They don't want to see Surf Dracula before he gets to the surfboard. But like the big character arcs that movies tend to demand get put in, that risks twisting the show into something unrecognizable that the fans won't like, is what I'm saying. But there's a reason those arcs are desirable, because they make movies satisfying. And this movie, the arc of the story is really a TV show arc. It's like, there's a status quo. Here's the people that live in this status quo. Here's a big problem that just landed on us. Here's a lot of action and adventure to survive the attacks. And at the end, we've returned to the status quo. It's not a story about a character with a big goal and a desire and a personal dilemma that has to overcome something and change and grow.
Yeah, and I think the movie is trying to ramp up the stakes to make it feel less like a TV show storyline by killing main characters, but they are TV show main characters and not Serenity the movie main characters. They are characters that barely get any screen time in Serenity the movie.
Yeah.
And we'll talk more specifically about who we're referring to in that scenario. But you know what I mean? Like for fans of the TV show, like those deaths hit very hard. For people just watching the movie, you're a little less concerned. You barely know those guys. And they didn't try to make you know them in this movie.
Not in a deep way, because there's just a lot of them. I feel like.
Yeah. We didn't talk about everyone on the crew in depth because of there's just so many of them.
No, like we complain about Adam Baldwin being in this movie, but we barely have anything to say about what he actually does in the movie because he's just kind of decoration as part of the crew.
I thought he was very hit or miss with his deliveries.
Yes.
Sometimes they were very good. Sometimes they were not so great.
Yeah, some of it's good. Some of it's charming. But nothing he does impacts the plot very much. And none of his goals are expressed or thwarted or anything happens to them.
And same with
Wash, the pilot.
Wash, the pilot. Yeah, played by Alan Tudyk. His goal in life seems to be to have a hot wife. And by God, he's done it.
He's done it. And his hot wife has even less going on than him in this movie.
Yeah, the great Gina Torres as Zoe. Alan Tudyk and Gina Torres are two very respected and likable actors. But yeah, they're skirted to the side in this movie only by necessity. There's just not time for everything.
Yeah, you don't have a whole season where you can go, oh, this episode, the A story is about Zoe, or it's about Zoe and Wash and their relationship. Like, that's the reason you build a big cast into an episodic series, so that you can spend time with them and develop each one over time. But this movie movie just had them like, okay, yeah, they're there. We'll refer to the role they play and we'll give you an example of it. And then we've got to get back to, because it's really about Mal and River really at the center of the story.
You know what I'd like to see Alan Tudyk do? I'd like to see him play like a darker character, maybe a hitman for the Detroit mob who goes toe-to-toe with a Kentucky lawman, a U.S. Marshal perhaps. Oh, wait, he already did that. And that is our Justified crossover of the week. Our first one in months.
Justified crossover of the week.
Wow. Thank you, Alan. Snuck up on us with one.
Finally. Yeah. You get a great little arc on Justified as a boogeyman for the Detroit Mafia. Not what you expect from Alan Tudyk, but he did it well.
That sounds fun. One day I'm going to check out this show and see all this cool stuff.
I am begging you. Oh, that feels so good. I haven't said Justified crossover of the week in 6 months, I feel like.
No kidding.
Whew. All right. What else from this section did we have to go over? I think we kind of covered it all.
Yeah, that's a good point at which to move on to Act 2 and see what happens next.
That's crazy. We only talked about Act 1 so far. We had so many notes. Out of the blue, Mal gets a call from his old flame, a beautiful sex worker named Inara, played by Morena Baccarin, asking him to come by and see her for a friendly meetup. But Mal suspects it's a trap because he and Inara have not been friendly since they split up. And he's right. Inara is being held hostage by the operative, who confronts Mal when he arrives. The operative tries to get Mal to give up River, but he won't, so they have a massive battle. The operative gets the best of Mal, but in a clever ploy, Inara incapacitates the assassin and escapes with Mal in her shuttle. The pair rejoin Serenity, and all together they take the ship to Haven, a hidden colony led by their old friend Shepard Book, played by Ron Glass. On the way, River reveals that Miranda is the name of a planet on the far edge of the solar system with a murky hidden history. When the crew reaches Haven, they find to their horror that Shepard and all his people have been killed by Alliance forces. Then they reach out to their various allies around the solar system and realize that the operative has attacked and killed all their friends. With no other choice, Mal decides that they must go to the mysterious planet Miranda and find out why the Alliance has kept it secret. But to get there, they must pass through the very heart of Reaver territory. Disguising Serenity as a blood-splattered, decrepit Reaver vessel, the team prepares to attempt a wildly risky gambit to fly right through a massive flotilla of Reaver ships unnoticed.
Oh no, don't try it. That'll never work.
Shaun of the Dead was a year before, and the walking like zombies to blend in with the zombies trick worked then, and it works even in a spaceship, apparently.
Yeah, spatter some blood on it. It was a good addition to the dark, harsh elements of the movie when Mal's like, yeah, we got to tie some of these dead bodies of our friends to the outside of our ship to fool the Reavers. And they're like, dude, that's so fucking gross. And he's like, got to do it. I'm the boss.
Need a lot of red paint. It's not the most original idea in the world, but it works. I like it. It is a cool sequence. Watching them try to like tiptoe through the Reaver territory in their fucked up ship.
Yeah, it's like,
in.
are there so many Reavers that they couldn't go around in space? There's literally a whole solar system is so crowded that the only way to get to this planet is like right through a crowd of ships where you're like almost touching. It's a little bit hard to believe, but it's a movie.
Yeah, the movie isn't doing the Star Wars thing where light speed is something that happens often where you can just get away.
Right.
It seems like people move at a more deliberate pace in outer space here. So there is some more complications, but yeah, it's a fucking planet. There's got to be a back road.
Go the long way around, but no, they went right through. It was scary. Like you said, the Reavers are a good, scary, evil force.
What about Morena Baccarin? Did you like her in this role?
She's likable. She's strikingly beautiful, so it's always enjoyable to see her face on the screen. She's a good actor as well. In this small role, where they tried to, like, in the middle of it go, oh, by the way, these two have a huge history, and we'll just tell you that's true because we don't have time to show it. She pulls it off. She's very credible. In this fight scene between the operative and Mal happens in her place where she's living on this sanctuary for concubines or whatever that world is.
It's like a training ground for concubines, I think is what they referred to it as. Like she helps teach them the ways of pleasure.
I see. But yeah, she holds her own. She's not just a pretty face. She's a tough character, and I liked her.
I think the movie did just enough too to hint at their relationship and maybe why they fell for each other and why they ultimately didn't work. Their relationship felt lived in a way that it could have been too exposition-y or too cheesy, but it felt earned. And I really enjoyed that. I could just say anytime our boy Chewie's on screen, I'm going to have a good time. But I really enjoyed his showdown with Mal, the operative and Mal, because they play off each other so well because they're so different. Where Mal is very hot-headed and emotional. The operative could not be more cool, but it's not his coolness that I find so magnetic. It's like he seems so reasonable. He's just laying out the facts and he never raises his voice. And he seems genuinely remorseful when he has to do bad stuff, but he does it anyway.
Yeah, there's some real good writing there where Mal is established as this smuggler, this hustler. He knows all the negotiation tricks and the cons. And the operative kind of just dismantles that by going through systematically and going, if I would have said this, you would have said that. And now you're saying this because I said that. And he just dispels the whole negotiating and is like, let's just get to the heart of it. Just give me the girl because I've already figured everything out here. And it's very effective.
Yeah, but we also get to see how crafty Mal is because there was a beacon placed on Serenity. He found it, brought it to him. So he says, if you try to shoot a missile to follow the beacon, you're going to kill us all, including yourself. So it does a good job. Like a lot of movies where there's this kind of goofball captain, even though we established he's not that much of a goofball, like they could make him just constantly being thwarted until he gets the upper hand in the end. But there's a give and take between the two of them where they each kind of get their hits in.
Yeah, and that's true in the physical hits as well, because like we said, the operative is the consummate hand-to-hand fighter and martial artist, and yet Mal can almost keep up with him. Like he gets his licks in, he sometimes gets an upper hand for a minute, but the operative is just a little bit better, so he relies on Inara's exploding incense stick to break them out of there.
I thought it was a very cool moment when the operative is like, I'm not threatening you, I'm unarmed, and Mal goes, good, and then he shoots him.
He instantly shoots him. It's very cool.
Of course, he's got body armor on. Yeah.
He's like, I'm not stupid, I'm wearing body armor.
That felt like Joss Whedon taking back something that was lost in Han Solo's character when George Lucas decided to make Greedo shoot first.
Yeah, and it's kind of an Indiana Jones thing too, right? It's like a hero who will take the advantage when he sees it. It's a good moment.
But I wouldn't say that Mal is out of the woods yet, because then the operative kills just about everybody he's ever met with the very effective line, if your query goes to ground, leave no ground to go to.
Yeah.
He's almost in tears, like telling him that he seems genuinely sorry that he had to do that.
Yeah, that's the first thing he says. The operative who just killed everybody who's ever given shelter or comfort to the crew of Serenity, he's gone and had them all killed. And the first thing he does is get on the horn and go, my dude, I'm really sorry about that. It was an awful thing to do, but I had to do it.
And when Mal says, I don't kill kids, and the operator's just like, I do. And I was like, geez, it's really well written and really well delivered. I'm a big fan of this character. I'm sure you could tell. But what did you think about the mass execution of Haven? There's a lot of borderline genocide in this movie, and this is the first glimpse we get of it, where they've just mass murdered hundreds of people, if not thousands.
Yeah, it's unclear. This is a part where the production is a little cheesy. It felt like trying to show Tatooine after the stormtroopers had come through and wiped everybody out, but it wasn't that convincing visually. So I'm like, oh, I see what they're doing, and now they're showing Shepard was shot defending his place and his people. And I'm like, I know Shepard because he shows up in the first episode of the pilot of the TV show as one of their first passengers. And
in many other episodes after.
Yeah, and he's a fully established character. But like in this movie, they literally did establish him 2 scenes earlier where they made a brief stop at Haven. And he goes, hey, I'm Shepard. I'm the religious guy that you used to be friends with. And this is the role I played. I'll tell you to trust the universe or something. But it was pretty minimal. So I felt like his death was an emotional callback to feelings that we don't have unless we also watch the show.
Yeah, it's him and Wash are the two that I'm like, the movie's trying to tug on our heartstrings with these characters, but those are the spots where the movie fails to rope in viewers that did not watch the show into believing that these are important relationships.
It's really shocking to those fans of the show, and also maybe more hurtful because they didn't get to spend that much time with them. Like you said, you were like a big Wash fan, and you're like, I want more Wash in my movie. And he has some good lines, he has some bits, and then he and Shepard are just gone.
Good performance by Ron Glass as Shepard, and R.I.P. to Ron Glass. He passed away in 2016.
Rest in peace.
Definitely a face you know, even if you don't know the name. Could use a little more of him, but this is not a short movie either. It's 2 hours long, and it's pretty jam-packed.
Oh yeah, Ron Glass. I was just trying to think of where I knew Ron Glass from. He goes all the way back to Barney Miller. Man, that dates me. That is some old people shit that I am fessing up to right now.
No, you were too old to be watching The Purple Dinosaur on TV. That's a Barney joke.
Well, that's a different Barney.
Different Barney. He goes back to the Bob Newhart show, actually.
Oh, wow.
All in the Family.
Yeah, he's an old, like a 70s TV staple.
Yeah, Sanford and Son, Good Times. He was doing it all. What a career. Family Matters. Oh, man.
Fun to see him in this late in his career, or maybe not even that late. He kept going.
No, yeah, he worked pretty much up until 2014, passed away in 2016. So, yeah, he had another decade of work after this movie. I guess it's time to move on to the final act.
Yeah, let's try to bring this thing home and see if we can bring down the Alliance while we're at it.
All right.
Safely past the Reavers, the crew of Serenity lands on the planet Miranda. They find the mummified remains of an entire population that simply died where they stood, with no signs of violence. Then they find a video recording from a prior Alliance reconnaissance mission explaining what happened. The Alliance tried to pacify the planet's population by putting a new drug into their air supply. Unfortunately, for most of the population, it worked too well. People became catatonic and they died right where they were. But for a small percentage, it had the opposite effect. They became insatiably aggressive and violent. This was the birth of the Reavers, who have been terrorizing the solar system ever since. That's why the Alliance made all information about the planet Miranda disappear. So Mal contacts Mr. Universe, who agrees to broadcast the transmission on all channels if they'll bring him the recording, undermining the Alliance by revealing their despicable behavior. This time, on their way back through Reaver territory, Serenity can't get past without a fight, and so a chase ensues. When Serenity arrives at Mr. Universe's planet, they find a huge Alliance fleet waiting to ambush them, but the Reaver fleet is right behind, resulting in an all-out battle that allows Serenity to squeak past and land, but not without sustaining some damage. Serenity's pilot, Wash, played by Alan Tudyk, manages a heroic safe landing, only to be killed moments later by a Reaver's harpoon. When the crew gets inside Mr. Universe's compound, they find that the operative has already murdered him and destroyed his control room. So, while Mal makes his way underground in search of the backup console, the rest of the crew barricade themselves for a last stand against the approaching mob of frenzied Reavers. Down in the subterranean control room, Mal once again faces off against the operative, but this time he wins the fight, disabling the operative and successfully broadcasting the transmission for all the citizens of the solar system to see. Back on the surface, as the Reavers close in, River goes into beast mode and single-handedly kills all the bad guys. So by the time the Alliance forces finally reach our heroes, the operative says it's all over, they're finished, River's secret is out, and he instructs his men to stand down. Later, as our heroes mourn their dead, they prepare to lift off on a new journey, with young River joining Mal as the new co-pilot of Serenity. And the show goes on.
But also not really. Maybe in like a comic book. That seems to be the way, like when TV shows can't get picked up again, you just continue the story in a comic book.
That's about all they got.
Guy killed me, Mal. Guy killed me with a sword. How weird is that? I just love that line from Mr. Universe through his sex bot wife.
Yes, I like that plot device. That was like something from a cool mystery movie where Mal gets down there, he finds Mr. Universe dead, but the sex bot, who's not like a fully functional android who can only say phrases, like he recorded a message into her and she's telling him where to find the backup console.
But the technology was not advanced enough to only play the message for Mal,
right?
Because it immediately tells the operative exactly where Mal's going.
Keeps talking. Yeah, I like that little twist there. That was fun.
I like it sounds like Krumholtz's dialogue coming out of another person. Because he's got a very distinctive way of speaking as well. But guy killed me with a sword. How weird is that?
Yeah, that was another good moment.
Speaking of good moments, I think Serenity's plot to lead the Reavers into the Alliance fleet was pretty smart and an exciting big third act action scene that maybe stretched the limits of this budget a little bit, but still pretty okay.
When I realized what they're doing, I'm like, that is a good plot device. It's like whenever you have some plucky small group of heroes facing incredible odds against a huge, powerful galactic force, you're like, how are they ever going to even these things up? And they're like, oh, they drag the Reavers into the fight and it equalizes the odds in a cool, practical way. But then I'm like, damn, you decided you were going to do like an all-out epic space battle in this movie where you got individual spaceships making spin-out turns look fake as hell. They spent more time and money on this because it looks all right. It's not bad.
It's not great either. It's a mixed bag.
It makes you think about it, which is evidence that it's not the best.
But lo and behold, who's there to class up the joint? But Chewie, when he finally notices what's happening, he goes, target the Reavers, somebody fire.
Yeah, that was a good line. And he, again, delivered it perfectly. But that's the kind of like Avengers style funny action moments that really worked in this movie.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about Miranda. Weird name for a planet, first off.
Yeah, not a woman at all. It's a planet.
That's to misdirect us a little bit, I think. So they get there. Everybody's dead, like you explained. Zoe has a line that they passed at least a dozen cities just as big. So we're talking about the Alliance essentially murdered. It's got to be millions of people, right?
Millions or tens of millions, like huge numbers.
This is really working to make us dislike the Alliance in a big way.
Pretty cavalier to just gas a whole planet without having tested it. Let's test it on this entire population of a bustling planet, and oops, it killed them all.
Yeah, pretty creepy, pretty horrifying, because like they said, everybody just sat down or laid down and waited to die. So they're all at their desks or going about their day, and they just decided, oh, I'm just going to die now.
And they're all mummified.
Very Pompeii-like. And then we get the beacon that they're tracking. Turns out to lead to none other than Sarah Paulson.
Another cool guest role.
We love Sarah Paulson. It's like a very small part that you probably didn't need a Sarah Paulson for, but it certainly makes it better.
Yes, it's the big reveal of the movie. She's revealing this awful truth about how the drug that they put into their systems killed most of the people, turned the rest into Reavers, which she doesn't know at the time, but are the scourge of the galaxy ever since. So to have an actor of her caliber convey that makes it powerful.
Yeah, and there is a very effective moment at the end of her video where she tries to shoot herself in the head and isn't fast enough, and the Reavers drag her down, and they turn the video off, but you can imagine how it goes. And I was like, this movie, that's what we're talking about. Like, at times it's very lighthearted, but then stuff like that happens and it's very bleak.
Yes, that was dark. That was horrifying. And in a good way. Like some of the
it's effective.
Some of the tone shifts to me were like off-putting, but I'm like, that's the kind of good, scary scary, harsh stuff that you want in a gritty sci-fi movie, which this movie is sometimes.
But now, what about some tonal clashes that didn't quite work for you?
A lot of them were earlier on where Mal would crack a joke and I'm like, dude, I get that you're a hard-boiled character with a dark sense of humor, but like, now's not the time. I don't want to hear your joke right now. And then they flipped it in the third act where I kind of lost my patience with Joss Whedon is when we talk about Alan Tudyk, we love him. He has his biggest extended punchline of the movie is where he's trying to fly this ship through the epic space battle. And he starts saying, I'm a leaf on the wind. And like, he's getting into his zone while everyone else is freaking out. And he says it.
It's like his mantra, yeah.
Yeah, he repeats it. So the stakes escalate. The ship gets damaged. And they're going to have to try to pull in for a crazy landing by the seat of his pants. And he pulls it off. And they come to this crashing, screeching halt, but everyone's okay. And then he delivers the final punchline of that scene where he says it again. I'm a leaf on the wind. And I genuinely laughed. I'm like, that was a great human moment, great comedy timing. And then 1 second later, a giant spear punches through his chest. It's right in our face. It's right up close and personal. And the guy's fucking dead.
In front of his best friends and his wife.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
it's
so
pretty harsh.
I'm like, dude, what? I get why you would do that in a really harsh, dark sci-fi, but like that didn't feel fair to pull that move on me there.
Yeah, and I'm not sure what Whedon's intention was there for it to, like you said, rub our faces in Wash's death, or I think he meant it as a rug pull moment, but it just didn't quite land for me. It was a little cavalier with our hearts.
I'm trying to think of, are there examples where that's happened? Like in Marvel movies where a character seems triumphant and then they're snatched away and killed by the bad guy. I feel like it has. I can't think of something specific, but I feel like that big reversal, it's not like a technique that's taboo, that's generally stayed away from, but it just felt like here it was like, maybe it was because we didn't get enough of it. And we're finally getting him. And I love the guy. And then they just pulled the rug out on us.
Yeah, you mentioned he's been in the news lately for iRobot of all movies.
Yeah, I don't know how that got surfaced, but he's out telling the story of how like he tested so well with audiences that Will Smith jealously made sure he was never mentioned again and never did any publicity for iRobot.
I don't know what's going on with Will Smith, if there's like a concerted smear campaign against him right now, or if he's just losing his damn mind. But there's not been any good news about Will Smith in a long time. Pretty much since I couldn't even say since he won the Oscar, because he had already smacked the shit out of Chris Rock by then.
Yeah.
Somebody resurfaced him talking about Django Unchained, and he was like, he turned it down, the Jamie Foxx role famously, and he said because he couldn't see violence being the answer to slavery. And I was like, you just smacked a guy for acknowledging that your wife is bald. So
he seems somewhat troubled. Like,
yeah, he's going through it.
Very self-reflective person, and maybe he feels himself failing in his own ability to reflect and meet his standards, and it shows up in him being extra weird and spooky in public.
Yeah, he's trying to get back on the hip hop tip, and it's not going well either. People are not.
I didn't even know that part.
Yeah, they're not vibing with his new music so much.
That'll bring out the haters for sure.
He didn't write a lot of his biggest hits. Nas wrote Getting Jiggy with It.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. I don't know if we got into a very Will Smith focused tangent there. I did find that like this face off between Mal and the operative went on a little too long. It was a little repetitive, where they're trying to get to the backup control room.
I feel like the operative like stabbed him through the lower back 3 different times in the same scene, and Mal just shrugged each one off.
But it was a cool moment when the operative tries his little Vulcan death stab with his fingertips in the nerve cluster that Mal said got blown off during a battle. So it didn't affect him, and he was able to turn the table. But surprisingly does not kill the operative, which ends up being his saving grace, because the operative has a change of heart and decides to cut them loose, maybe give up his own career. In the process, they leave it a little ambiguous where he stands with the Alliance at the end of the movie, if he's even still part of it, or if he's fully defected, or if he's sabotaging it from the inside. But he becomes an anti-hero by the end.
Yeah, you wonder, did he, because of what he just learned, did he know that already? Did he just learn that?
I think he knew that.
He kind of hinted earlier on that like he doesn't need to know the reasons why. He just completes his mission. But like you've kept saying, he's so eminently reasonable throughout the movie, it actually makes sense when the villain at the end goes, now the information is out. My whole mission was to try to prevent that one piece of information from getting out. That's why I had to relentlessly pursue and try to kill River. It's out. There's no point in killing her. Stand down, everybody. It's over. It's over, Johnny. It's over.
When him and Mal have their final goodbye, I think they struck a nice balance in the writing and the acting. Like, Mal does not like him. Obviously, he killed all his friends, but there's like a begrudging respect between them, I think.
If this had gone on, I think that was smart, because they did leave it open for him to come back either as a villain again or as an unlikely ally or something in a future movie.
That's Serenity. I think we both liked it a good amount. It had its flaws, but it was very entertaining, very fun.
I'm not even sure how I feel about it. I was not that enthused on my second watch. Usually I like warm warm up and go, oh, now this is a movie I like. And there was some of that. I was like, I see where the pieces are moving here. I enjoy watching it come together. But in the end, I'm like, something feels unsatisfying. I'm not sure if I'll go back to it at this point.
Are you considering watching Firefly?
I think I would have a hard time with that too, not because I'm not interested in the characters and exploring that world a little more and seeing what they did. Because a lot of people say, despite the fact it was cut short, it was a really good TV show.
But TV has changed since the Firefly days, so it will feel
It's
of a
hard
time.
Exactly. It's hard to watch old shows. Like it's distracting. A lot of the characteristics of them, it doesn't meet our current day standards that we're used to.
Yeah, I found myself when I was rewatching The Sopranos even having that thought at times, which is considered one of the great shows of all time. But the filmmaking feels very dated. Even The Wire the same way. Wire, my favorite show of all time. But yeah, it can be tough. It can be jarring. But I'm thinking, I know my wife, Jamie, went back and watched Firefly about a year ago and Serenity, and she liked it. So I'm thinking I might give it another go. It's been more than 20 years since I've watched Firefly, so I might give it a shot.
That's cool. I'm watching a new little space adventure show called Andor Season 2. Somebody told me about.
Finally.
That is thoroughly contemporary in a way that is absolutely thrilling to me. So I hope to finish that season and maybe we'll come up with some excuse to talk about it more.
So contemporary, it's extremely upsetting.
Cutting edge.
It's crazy they wrote it like 4 years ago and not 3 weeks ago.
All the best stuff has that visionary quality.
So this was obviously written and directed by Joss Whedon. We've talked a lot about Joss, but it's been a minute, so I'll give a quick career retrospective on him.
Okay.
This was his theatrical debut as a director after writing a number of movies, including the 1992 Buffy the Vampire Slayer movie, Toy Story, which I didn't realize
he
was a writer on. He wrote on Alien Resurrection, which is why it sucks shit, because I feel like his writing style does not mix with the alien world. And Titan AE, which is a beloved animated movie that I don't think I've ever seen, but we should cover one day.
Okay.
He then wrote Cabin in the Woods in 2011, wrote and directed The Avengers and Much Ado About Nothing in 2012. Then he would write and direct Avengers Age of Ultron in 2015. And then he stepped in to finish Justice League in 2017, our third episode. I would tell you to go listen to it, but I genuinely don't know what's in that, like what we were doing with ourselves back then, if it would sound at all like the show we do now, or if it's just a mess.
Oh, yeah, we were just talking about going back to old TV shows and being a little bit cringy about the way they look and feel. I honestly don't know either how our show would hold up.
If you want to take the chance, it's back there. It's in the archives. It's still accessible.
There. We're not disavowing it.
Things didn't go great for him on the set of Justice League. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. He considers himself a TV guy. He said if he had to pick between movies and TV, he's probably a TV guy. I think most people would agree. He created and was the showrunner for Buffy, Angel, Firefly, Dollhouse, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and The Nevers. He also wrote a pretty excellent run of X-Men comics called Astonishing X-Men in the early aughts.
Oh, that's neat.
I was a big fan of that. It's a really good, his issues are a really good run. And then 2020 was when it all went wrong for Joss Whedon. I guess it all went wrong for Joss Whedon when he did the things that came to light in 2020.
Right.
But he was accused of on-set bullying and harassment by Justice League actor Ray Fisher. That was then supported and corroborated by Jason Momoa and Gal Gadot, his co-stars on Justice League. And then he was either removed or stepped down from the Nevers due to the controversy, depending on who you ask. But then the hits didn't stop there because Buffy actresses Charisma Carpenter, Amber Benson, and Michelle Trachtenberg all came out, accused him of inappropriate and harassing behavior. Essentially, the entire Buffy and Angel casts came out and said they support their co-stars and agree with them.
Wow.
And there is now a Buffy reboot called New Sunnydale coming out. Sarah Michelle Gellar is taking part in it. Joss Whedon gets a created by credit, but no actual involvement in the show.
I see.
And he has not worked since The Nevers in 2021.
Interesting to see. I guess it hasn't been that long, but this does seem to be a pretty convincing case where Hollywood didn't just go, oh, bad, naughty director, and then 1 year later go, oh, but we're giving you another movie.
I think the thing is, and I've been listening to a book that Joanna Robinson co-wrote with a few other people. Joanna Robinson, podcaster from The Ringer, I'm a fan of, about the MCU. And it seems like Joss Whedon was just not very well liked by just about anyone that ever worked with him. So I think that goes a long way to maybe having a hard time coming back from this kind of controversy.
Nobody's in his corner to give him a hand back up.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know that have we seen a lot of contrition from him? I don't know. I haven't followed it that closely.
Yeah, we have to talk about this stuff in the interest of keeping people informed because we play some part in idolizing the various actors, filmmakers, etc. And so we feel the need to be forthcoming about their issues, but also we don't like to dig into them. So it's never fun to talk about. We do what we got to do, and then we try to forget about those people that deserve to be forgotten.
Let's talk about somebody who, as far as I know, doesn't have any major controversies, and that's Nathan Fillion.
Oh, that's good.
Got his start in soap operas. He's been a mainstay on TV for decades. He started on One Life to Live in 94, did that for a few years, and then he started on Two Guys and a Girl, but he was not one of the guys or the girl. He was like another guy, but he would join the main cast in the second season.
Okay.
He did a stretch of Desperate Housewives, the titular character in the show your parents love, Castle.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about Castle.
Yeah, Castle ran for 9 seasons. Castle was eventually canceled in light of persistent rumors of animosity with his co-star, Stanya Katic. They apparently did not want to be on set together, did not talk outside of when they absolutely had to. And they've said nice things in the press about each other since then to calm the waters, but it does not seem like they're on good terms. So I guess that's the closest thing to a controversy for old Nate.
Yeah, it's a little strange.
He would then go on to star as the titular rookie in The Rookie, where he played like a 45-year-old cop new to the force.
Fun. That sounds like a fun concept.
I feel like they have age limits, though, right? I don't understand how they explain that away.
Not in TV land, they don't.
Currently, he is portraying Guy Gardner with a very unfortunate haircut in the DCEU. He's been in Peacemaker and Superman, and I'll be in the upcoming Lanterns.
Oh, okay.
Lanterns, I'm pretty hyped for here. I have a feeling it's going to be a good show.
I hope
His movie
so.
work has also been prolific. He's worked often with James Gunn. It seems like he was a mainstay in Whedon stuff, and then he became a mainstay in Gunn stuff. He's been in stuff like Slither, Super, and he's played a different character in each Guardians of the Galaxy movie, which I like stuff like that.
I didn't even realize that. I remembered him in the last one as like making an impression. I'm like, that was a really fun turn, but I didn't realize he was popping up each time.
Another way he's similar to Bruce Campbell, because Bruce Campbell played a different character in every Sam Raimi Spider-Man movie.
Oh, okay.
He also appeared in Gunn's Suicide Squad movie, and he's done voice work and stuff like Cars 3, Venture Brothers, American Dad, Robot Chicken, and the Monsters, Inc. series. I will personally always lament the premature cancellation of his 2008 show Drive, which was about like a cross-country race, an illegal underground race. I think his daughter was kidnapped, and he had to win the race to save her. Never found out if he did, because I think they aired like 4 episodes and just yanked it. But it was good. I really liked it. I don't think anyone remembers it. If you remember Drive, please hit us up on Twitter or Blue Sky or the email, because I'd love to chat about it.
I want to know, because I don't remember that at all.
I've been trying to find like a torrent of it and no luck.
Really? It's that obscure.
Yeah. Summer Glau, she hasn't done a ton of movies, but she's been prolific on television. In addition to Firefly, she starred in the Terminator, the Sarah Connor Chronicles, Dollhouse, The Cape for Community fans. She was in The Cape. Alphas, Arrow, and Wu Assassins. A lot of martial arts heavy shows. I feel like she is a legit martial artist, so it makes sense.
Okay.
And she recently starred in the podcast sci-fi series Control Alt Delay, which ran from 2021 to 2024. Alan Tudyk, one of the busiest men in Hollywood, nay the world.
Yes.
He's appeared in literally hundreds of projects since Firefly, including the aforementioned Justified. He is excellent as the voice of K2SO in Rogue One and Andor. Have you met him again in Andor yet?
Did I spy him? No, I don't think so.
You'll know when it's him. He becomes like a character. It goes over how he meets Andor and becomes part of his crew in Rogue One. So you would know if you met him by now.
Okay, no, I did not.
He did multiple character voices in Creature Commandos. He's the new voice of Optimus Prime on Transformers Earthspark. Was the voice of Iago in the recent Aladdin, Duke Weaselton in Zootopia, and so many more. And he recently starred in the excellent but sadly canceled Resident Alien show my wife Jamie also put me on to. That was very good and funny and charming. It got canceled, but still worth checking out. Adam Baldwin, he shot an alien through some glass in Independence Day a while back, if you remember.
Yeah.
And he works sporadically in stuff nobody watches, like The Last Ship. I'm trying to hide my distaste for this man. I don't think it's working.
It's coming through.
He has often been credited with starting Gamergate. He invented the hashtag, at least, if not the movement itself.
Yeah. That's an icky thing to do, and even ickier to seem to claim proudly, if that's what he does.
Yeah, like Gamergate is something that's always perplexed me. We were talking about this before we started recording. It's like, what's the one sentence pitch for Gamergate? What's it all about? It's very nebulous, but whatever the cause of Gamergate was, Adam Baldwin was 52 years old at the time and probably way too old to be giving a shit about indie game journalism.
So far beyond too old. If you're intrigued by that idea, which I was when John hit me to the idea that Adam Baldwin was somehow in the center of this ugly incident in recent American history, our guy Jason Pargin just put out a really interesting YouTube video where because it's like, is it 10 years ago? It's some big...
yeah, it was 2014, I think, is when it kicked off, so about 10 years now.
Okay, it's some big anniversary that he decided he would just do a video essay where he just explains his take on it, and he was close to the core of it because he was editor-in-chief of Cracked at the time, and so he saw a lot of it pretty close up and was immersed in a certain portion of internet culture at that time. Go check out Jason Pargin one on YouTube. A pretty interesting take. If our talk has intrigued you to learn more about Gamergate, then that's an interesting place for it. If it's turned you off to ever hearing the word Gamergate again, then I totally understand and we can move on.
Jason's a good follow regardless. Just he's very entertaining, very funny, and very insightful. So we rock with Jason Pargin. Just try to get him on the show. I bet he would do it. Chiwetel Ejiofor, he's been a star for decades. He's been in excellent movies that we've covered, like Children of Men. He was also in one of my favorite movies, Inside Man.
Oh, cool. Forgot about that.
Yeah, Inside Man fucking rules. And by the way, that new Denzel and Spike Lee movie looks awesome. High to Low.
I hope so.
Yeah. He was in Red Belt. That's where I think a lot of people discovered him for the first time. 12 Years a Slave, of course. The Martian. He's been in the Old Guard series. 999. He joined the MCU as part of the Doctor Strange series, but then he also joined the SCU, the Sony Cinematic Universe, with Venom: The Last Dance, playing a different character. So that's confusing. He's got 2 movies scheduled for release in 2027. Children of Blood and Bone, which I don't think is a sequel to Children of Men, but that'd be cool if it was.
That'd be crazy.
And The Back Rooms, I will check those out because I think he is a fantastic actor and I like watching him do stuff.
Yeah, he's great to see on screen.
Jewel Staite, one of my proudest oomfies. After Firefly and Serenity, she starred in Stargate Atlantis, The Killing, which is a show I actually really enjoyed. And I forgot that she was on that, so I might rewatch that to get more Jewel Staite in my life. She did a stint on The Magicians, which was another show I also liked. That was like one of those sci-fi shows. It was very charming, very easy breezy watching.
Oh, yeah. I read the books. The first book especially is really good if you never read that.
No, I never did. Check that out.
Highly recommend The Source of the Magicians.
And she even did a stint on Resident Alien, reconnecting with her boy Alan Tudyk.
Fun.
And since 2021, she has starred on Canadian show Family Law.
Cool. Good for her.
It's weird that there's no crossover to America with Canadian. Like, it seems like it'd be an easy sell, but
it's the same language and everything. But no, there's no way to be exposed to that stuff, is there?
I'm willing to learn more about Canadian family law if someone's willing to teach me.
I think Jewel might be just the person to teach you.
She might be. Morena Baccarin, she's had one of the most successful post-Serenity careers. She starred in the 2009 show V. Of course, she was a big part of the first couple seasons of the Showtime smash hit Homeland.
For sure.
The Mentalist, The Good Wife, Gotham. And she's also been appearing as Vanessa, the main love interest in the Deadpool series. She's been in all the movies. She also starred in the surprisingly excellent Greenland, which was a disaster movie with her and Gerard Butler, shot on a low budget, but it was really well done and affecting. A sequel is due in January. Unfortunately, she most recently starred in the very bad Elevation with Anthony Mackie, or as I call it, a Hyatt place, because the aliens won't attack you if you're above a certain elevation. They just took a quiet place and made it a new trigger.
Oh, I thought you were making a hotel reference.
No. It's a better joke when you can read it as opposed to hearing it. Homonyms are tough.
Okay.
Gina Torres, she would go on to star in Suits from 2011 to 2018. Great work if you can get it. And she ended up getting her own spin-off, Pearson, which ran for 1 season in 2019.
Cool.
She was in both The Matrix Reloaded and The Matrix Revolutions. And she joined 911 Lone Star in the 2nd season, was a main cast member until it ended this year. And she's also been doing a lot of voice acting, stuff like The Legends of Vox Machina and Kindergarten the Musical. And I just noticed the only main crew member that doesn't get a section is Simon Tam, Sean Maher. Sorry, buddy.
Oh.
If I completely blanked on putting in something about him. I was like, I should put something in for all the crew. And I fucking forgot our least favorite member. Sorry, buddy.
Sorry. He kind of was the most forgettable. Hate to rub it in on him, but I don't think either of us was terribly curious about what he's done.
No. Ian, would you like to hear what we're covering next episode? And I know you have no idea what it is.
I genuinely have no idea. You can see the anticipation on my face as you reveal the next movie to me.
So frustrated by the fact, frustrated, but also happy for him that we'll probably never get to cover a movie that Jordan Peele directed on the podcast.
Yes.
I thought we should cover a movie that Jordan Peele starred in. So we will be covering 2016's KEANU.
KEANU, you say?
Me and Ian were in a group chat on Twitter where it's mostly centered around pictures of cute cats. And this is a movie all about a notably cute cat is the driving force of the movie. So I think it's very appropriate for us.
Yeah.
And it's Key and Peele in a major motion picture. It's very funny. I like it a lot. It didn't make any money.
I hope it's funny. I remember it had a disappointing reception, which is obviously why we're getting to cover it. And I think I was just over the hump on my Key and Peele obsession, which ran pretty hot for a while. And this movie came out after that hot streak. And I'm like, let me just not see it and not feel any disappointment. But I hope there's some joy and I hope there's some cute cat action.
I can't speak to the movie's quality so specifically. It's been a while since I watched it, but the cat is cute as hell. So there's at least that. How bad could it be?
Yeah, it's got something going for it.
Thank you guys so much for listening. Please remember to rate, review, subscribe to the podcast. We've also been seeing some comments on Spotify, which we love to see.
Thanks for dropping a comment on Spotify, where most of us, including me, didn't realize you could do. So
Right. Cool. It's a new feature that flew under the radar for a little bit, but yeah, we like seeing them. We get notified and we'll respond. You can also follow us on Twitter at BlastZonePod or Blue Sky at blastzonepod.bluesky.com. You can email us, blastzonepod@gmail.com. If you have questions, feedback, movie suggestions, comments, just want to chat about movies, we're happy to hear from you.
Yeah, we always are.
And we'll see you next time in the Blast Zone.
See you next time in the Blast Zone.
The Blast Zone.